The pilot's final words were, "We've got smoke." Minutes later, a fully loaded jumbo jet plunged into the Indian Ocean at nearly 600 miles per hour. No survivors, no distress call, no warning. And yet, the real nightmare began after the crash. The flight data recorder? Gone. Never recovered. The cargo manifest? Redacted. Witnesses? Silenced. And the black box that was recovered? Played only fragments, then mysteriously failed. This wasn't just a tragic accident. It happened during apartheid South Africa's darkest years, when secrets were currency and planes weren't just carrying passengers. They were carrying things far more dangerous: explosives, nuclear parts, chemical agents. Even now, high-level officials refuse to talk. Documents remain sealed. And one terrifying question echoes louder with every passing year. What exactly was that plane carrying? And who wanted it buried forever? On November 28, 1987, South African Airways Flight 295, a Boeing 747 nicknamed Helderberg, departed from Taipei, Taiwan, en route to Johannesburg, South Africa. It was supposed to be a routine flight with a scheduled stopover in Mauritius. Instead, it ended in one of the most controversial crashes in aviation history. The aircraft vanished into the Indian Ocean with 159 people on board. While some floating wreckage and a handful of bodies were recovered, the majority of the aircraft and its secrets sank nearly 3 miles beneath the surface. But this wasn't just any plane, and this wasn't just any time. South Africa was under intense international sanctions for its apartheid regime. Its government was desperate, isolated, and as some allege, willing to use its national airline to smuggle weapons, nuclear materials, and other banned cargo under civilian disguise. What began as a tragic aviation incident quickly spiraled into a geopolitical riddle, with classified documents, missing evidence, and whispers of a fire caused by something no airline should ever be carrying. What was really on board Helderberg that night, and why has the truth stayed buried for nearly 40 years? South African Airways Flight 295 took off from Chiang Kai-shek International Airport in Taiwan at 3:30 p.m. local time. The aircraft, a Boeing 747-244B Combi, was configured to carry both passengers and cargo on the same main deck. That setup would prove to be a critical detail. There were 159 people on board, 140 passengers and 19 crew. Tucked behind the seated travelers were 6 cargo pallets, 47,000 kilograms of baggage and freight. The flight was expected to stop in Mauritius, refuel, and continue on to Johannesburg. But 10 hours into the flight, something happened. Smoke. First reported by the crew, then silence. At 12:04 a.m. local time, the flight made its final transmission. "We've got smoke." 3 minutes later, the plane disappeared from radar. There was no mayday, no emergency locator signal, just gone. When rescue teams arrived, they found no floating survivors, only scattered debris and bodies floating in life vests, indicating the passengers had time to react, but not enough to survive. The Indian Ocean swallowed most of the evidence. The wreckage lay over 15,000 feet deep, beyond typical salvage capabilities. But within days, investigators from South Africa, the US, and Boeing launched a massive recovery operation. They eventually located and retrieved the cockpit voice recorder. What it revealed was chilling. The crew was discussing a growing fire and visibly struggling to maintain control of the aircraft. There were loud thumps, electrical warnings, and an eerie calm as the situation spiraled. But strangely, the recording cut off before the end. No final scream, no explosion, just silence. Even more disturbing, the flight data recorder, the black box that logs the plane's speed, altitude, and system functions, was never found. Despite using advanced US Navy submarines and deep-sea technology, it vanished without a trace. Was it crushed beyond recognition, or was it removed? In apartheid-era South Africa, trust in the government was already razor-thin. By 1987, the regime faced crippling international sanctions. Countries had cut off trade, military cooperation, and access to critical materials, including nuclear components. That's where the theories begin. South African Airways, being state-owned, was suspected of being used for sanctions-busting operations, covertly flying in prohibited equipment under civilian disguise. And the combi model of the Boeing 747 was perfect for it. It allowed cargo to be stored right behind passengers with no customs inspection at stopover airports. So what was in that cargo hold? According to leaked customs records and whistleblower accounts, several high-risk items may have been on board. Military-grade chemicals, volatile electronics, or even nuclear materials, being smuggled to support South Africa's secret atomic weapons program. One rumor, never proven but never dismissed, was that the fire began when unstable cargo ignited mid-air, causing a blaze too fast and toxic to contain. And if that cargo was never supposed to be there, it would explain a lot. Entering the Margot Commission, led by South African Judge Cecil Margot. Its job, find the cause of the crash. But the investigation quickly became suspicious. Key documents were classified. Several SAA officials refused to testify. And when questioned about the cargo manifest, authorities claimed much of it had been destroyed or redacted due to security reasons. To outside observers, this was a red flag. Even Boeing's engineers and U.S. aviation experts were frustrated. The fire's origin couldn't be pinpointed. The recovered wreckage showed signs of intense heat damage, but no clear source of ignition. Some believed the fire was chemical in nature, not electrical or mechanical. Meanwhile, journalists and family members of the victims began demanding answers. They never got them. The smoking gun, or just smoke? In the years that followed, several pieces of information emerged. Multiple former SAA pilots admitted the airline had a long-standing, informal policy of carrying classified cargo on behalf of the government, often without crew knowledge. A former intelligence operative in a rare interview hinted that Flight 295 was carrying components related to uranium enrichment, unstable when improperly stored. Aviation safety experts noted that the Helderberg disaster led to one of the most sudden and complete bans on Boeing 747 Combi aircraft, a configuration that had been previously popular with several airlines. A sealed memo leaked decades later revealed that officials were warned, days before the flight, about the danger of mixing sensitive cargo with passenger manifests. Coincidence? Cover-up? Or both? Many of the victims' relatives have spent their lives fighting for transparency. They've requested open access to government archives, unredacted manifests, and private testimony from apartheid-era defense officials. But time isn't on their side. The apartheid government fell in the 1990s. Yet to this day, crucial documents remain classified. Key witnesses are dead. And the official narrative, fire of unknown origin, hasn't changed. Even South Africa's post-apartheid Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which unearthed countless secrets, did not reopen the Helderberg file. That silence speaks volumes. Because if the truth ever did come out, that a government knowingly endangered civilians to transport illegal or radioactive materials, the political fallout would be devastating. In 1992, 5 years after the crash, a South African journalist received a tip from a former military insider. The Helderberg was carrying something it shouldn't. That fire wasn't accidental. He pursued the lead, only to die months later in a car accident. No investigation, no conclusions, just another dead end in a case already suffocating in secrecy. And then, decades later, the real twist. Documents surfaced confirming that South Africa's nuclear program, once denied, had in fact produced 6 atomic bombs in secret by the late 1980s. They were disassembled in the early 1990s under international supervision. But how did the apartheid regime get the components? And more importantly, how did they move them? If even part of that material was on board Flight 295, the implications are staggering. A commercial aircraft full of civilians, possibly doubling as a covert nuclear mule, a flying time bomb. No wreckage ever confirmed this, no confession ever followed. But one thing is certain, the truth didn't sink with the plane. It was buried by design. Over 35 years have passed since 159 lives vanished over the Indian Ocean. No one was held accountable. No final report offered closure. And no government, not then, not now, has dared to fully explain what that aircraft was truly carrying. The families still grieve, the questions still echo, and the ocean still holds its silence. But maybe the bigger tragedy isn't just the crash. Maybe it's that we still don't know why it happened. Was it human error? A mechanical failure? Or something far darker, a secret so dangerous it had to be erased? What do you think happened on that flight? Drop your theory in the comments. We're watching, and so are others. If you found this story as haunting as we did, consider subscribing. There's more truth buried in history, and we're digging it up, one mystery at a time.